Let's take you directly now to senior news reporter Chriselda Lewis, who's standing by for us in Diepsloot following the conversation between a number of ministers and the community there. Chriselda, over to you.
Well, that's right. A very good afternoon to you. At this moment, the Police Minister, General Bheki Cele, is in there at the moment. We're expecting him to come out any minute now after some engagement with the community here in Diepsloot. Remember, this had been a feedback meeting to members of the public here in order to try and find a lasting resolution to the challenges here. But there had been a bit of a discontent a bit earlier on this afternoon relating to the residents who had been outside the gate and were not allowed in here, them basically accusing those who've been deployed here, who they say is leadership within the Diepsloot, of not taking their concerns seriously or bending basically when it comes to issues of addressing their concerns with the minister here inside. They're still outside. We do understand that the minister will have an address with the community outside the police station. We're yet to confirm that, and whether he will address the media here to give us some feedback on what the consultations were inside, because the media was not allowed inside those deliberations, and whether this will be able to quell the days of violence that we've seen here in Diepsloot. You'd know that the community itself has been worried about. I'm just trying to have a look in terms of what is taking place that side. I'll try to have a look and try and move some of our equipment here. Give us a second, please. When it comes to some of the issues that have been raised by this community, who've basically said, you see the stores being closed here at the moment. Some of the individuals there waiting towards that particular direction. I'll just show you now. Those are community members that have been waiting outside this particular hall to be addressed by the Minister of Police. They've been complaining about not being let in to this gathering. They say that they're hoping that those have basically been able to give them the feedback that they want to hear. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm a little bit far from where they are. They might be chanting a few words. They're saying if they're not happy with what has been discussed. Let's just walk towards this direction for a second and see if we'd also perhaps be able to bring in what looks to be at this particular point the commissioner of police here. In fact, that is not him at this stage, but these are some of the community members who have been waiting for the minister to come out and address them. It's a large crowd of people, so we're not sure if the minister is going to address us at this particular point, or he'll go out and address the community first. There's absolutely no indication at this stage. A large police presence still remains here in A large police presence is still remaining here in Diepsloot, and these residents are chanting Mbobo Vuleka, which means open the gates, essentially, in this instance. These are residents in Zinga who'd earlier complained that they were not being allowed into this meeting. They're waiting now with bated breath to hear what the minister will say to them, and whether that would be able to quell the tensions in this particular area. So the leadership, it seems, of those who have been deployed into this meeting were the ones who took the grievances of these community members to the minister as well as others. So let me have a word with some of them. Siswam kunjani? Kunjani? Nilindile apha ukuthi uminister azonbriefa ukuthi bekwenzekeleni.
Silinde ikhansela wathi bani lo that azela. Ucela abantu bonke basi.
Today kwenza ini?
Uzocela wona.
Yes, we have been waiting for an hour now, of which we came to the meeting, but the leaders are talking to themselves while we're standing outside. How can we accept the outcomes of the meeting which we are not part of? Because we're standing outside. No one come to us and tell us what is happening. If the ministers now go, What do you expect will happen here? The community are here outside waiting to hear what is happening. But now no one is...
Right, here's the minister. The minister at this particular point coming to address the community right here. And we see that the minister, Bheki Cele, will address the community now. All right.
Sizama ukuthola into yokukhuluma ukuthi sizwane. They know when they get here we must go to the building. Usually they have a mobile. Going at the back of the van so that wait. The way now is the about to
All right, the police minister in just a moment about to address community members here. Community members are hoping to hear whether he will be able, whether he is coming with some lasting solutions to their challenges here. Let's take a listen in now to the police minister addressing the community here.
So we're not getting this thing,
All right, a large crowd are gathered here at the hall here at the moment where all right, it looks like we're going to wait just a little moment in order for the minister to address the crowd here, him trying to find a place where he is able to find a perfect place so that all of these community members are able to hear him. All right, in just a moment we'll hear perhaps what those deliberations were about and whether there is a solution to the challenges here in Diepsloot that has emerged from this meeting. Also here in front of me is the Home Affairs Minister, Dr. Motsoaledi. You would know that they've been trying to find a multi-pronged approach to some of the challenges. It seems like we'll be moving towards another place where a van has been organized. A van has been organized at the stage for the minister to jump on at the stage. So he's going to. All right, the minister is going to get on this van so that he is able to address.
No, I'll hold it open there. Let them get what the
The minister is going to address the community in just a moment.
Sorry.
Hi, sorry. 1 second, minister, wait. There's cables, there's a cable.
Diepsloot. Vigilante Diepsloot. Besila. When Tuesday? No, Besila Wednesday. Sakhuluma phambi kwesiteshi la. Nasithuma into ezimbalwa.
Switch on what?
Nasithuma into ezimbalwa. Nathi amaven awekho police station. Nathi awekho amaven police station. Nathi nifuna amaphoyisa azohamba etratweni la. Nathi nifuna abantu abanganazi incwadi undocumented bangabi khona la. Nathi nifuna abantu ababulala abantu baboshwe. Sathembisa sasicommit ukuthi we're going to do those things now. One thing esayisho ukuthi uminister we-Home Affairs Masibuzo bakhona la. Uye lo. Niyamazi ngoba sake safika ngaphambili.
Siyamazi TV.
Okwesibili the following day kade sila estation uma nifuna kodwa anikwazi ukuhamba nonke kanye kanye. Manifuna ningaya niyobona imoto zenu ezu-16 ezintsha eziseke station. Ezu-16 lezo moto. Bese kuba ukuthi namhlanje uCommissioner esinaye la amaphoyisa azoba khona nakhona kwi-ground as we speak. Nawabala nathi nifuna amabharethi. Niyawafuna amabharethi. Amabharethi-ke akhona, I'm sure niwabonile, akhona emgwaqweni awu-20. Bese kuba ne-P.O. ephelela amaphoyisa ahlakene nakamasipala la asebenza la kule ndawo a-extra awu-120. Lawo maphoyisa akazuhamba la size sibuye sizoxoxa nani futhi ukuthi situation isishintshile yini. Uma ingakashintshi isituation akazuhamba kule ndawo amaphoyisa. Bese kuba khona umntungwa ukhumalo uphethe abaseshi eGauteng jikelele. Uneteam yabaseshi ayilethe la ukuzobheka wonke amacala alendawo abantu ababulewe kwangaboshwa umuntu. Esifuna ke kucace njengama South Africans umuntu odala icala noma uyiZimbabwean noma uyi-South African ma uyi-criminal thina amaphoyisa sibopha ama-criminal noma wakuphi nawasekhaya la awuzuba yi-criminal bese sekuyeka ngoba sithi uyi-South African, awuzuba yi-criminal bese sekuyeka ngoba sithi uyi-Zimbabwean noma uyi-Nigerian. Owethu umsebenzi samaphoyisa is to enforce the law. Now uloku eshilo-ke lo sisi bayishilo lento ukuthi intshontsho sicelileke i-leadership yeni laba bebengaphakathi bayazi siyasicela ukuthi amaphoyisa ethu athathe amantshontsho nisinike amalisti awo nizonika uMasemola manisaba nizonika uMasemola niwanike Motsoaledi niwanike uCele niwanike uMthombeni la nithi zonke lezo zinto nibanikela ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi sibanikela ukuthi sikwazi ukubuya sizoyilungisa but sithe futhi labantu abathatha amantshontsho sifuna nisinike nalabo abanika amantshontsho. Yebo, nisinike abawathathayo, nisinike abawanikayo. Ngoba labantu bamantshontsho bawanika ngoba bayama-criminal, ngoba bedayisa ama-drugs nabo. So sinikeni-ke abathathayo nabanikayo. Okwesine esikushilo uma Buisa. Bring our team. Enye esishilo kusuka kulezi insuku 2 days kade sila amaphoyisa ngelanga lokuqala kade sikhona abophe abantu abawu 24 ngelanga lokuqala aba-undocumented bese babopha izolo ebusuku cisha lona izolo ebusuku babopha abawu-30 laba abantu awakwazi ukubakhipha kufanele abahambise ku-Home Affairs ngoba u-Home Affairs onelungelo lokubaphindisa la bevela khona uma be-undocumented. But enye-ke siyicelile nesiyicelayo kunina nekufanele sivumelane ngazo, uma behamba bekhishwa abantu aba-undocumented kuzofanele nisinike ama-landlords ngoba lezo zinto abaphuma kuzona kufanele zisale zi-empty. Kufanele zisale zi-empty ngoba njengoba nila abanye benu niyahamba niyo-collecta kulabantu enicomplaina ngabo la, niyahamba niyo-collecta ngoba bakhokha irent kunina. Abanye benu la nama-landlords la nizocomplaina ngabo bese niyasuka la niyothatha imali kubona. Uhambe ube yilandlord yomuntu ongamazi ongakazi umbone, ongalazi igama lakhe, ongamazi ukuthi uvelaphi. Mase kwenzeka izinto lapho bese ubuza ukuthi amaphoyisa aphi kanti wena ufukamele umuntu ongamazi. So asizaneni-ke ukuthi uma amaphoyisa ne-Home Affairs behamba bebheka leso simo, lezo zindlu zisale zi-empty. Uma kuwukuthi zinomuntu, i-landlord kufanele isichazele yona ukuthi ubani wakabantu. Uma kuwukuthi awusichazeli, sithathe lo muntu ongaziwa sithathe nawe. Esivumelane ngakho kukhona abaphakamise ukuthi kuney'ngadi la zokulima, and sitshela ukuthi ama-South African ayadudulwa abantu bangaphandle awabavumeli balimi. Ku-National Commissioner no-Deputy Provincial Commissioner nomasipala sithi abahambe bayovikela abantu baseNingizimu Afrika abafuna ukulima, abakwazi ukududulwa abantu base-South Africa befanele ukuthi benze umsebenzi. So it's important ukuthi amaphoyisa aprotecte nazo zonke izakhiwo zikahulumeni, Home Affairs baba-protecte abantu base-South Africa, baba-protecte nabantu abakhona ngokusemthethweni. But bonke abantu abangekho emthethweni nabo bonke abantu abama-criminals sidale phezu kwabo. So kubalulekile-ke ukuthi lezo zinto zenzeke. Amaphoyisa-ke azoqhubeka ne-operation. Hayi akoni tudula amaphoyisa. Amaphoyisa azoqhubeka ne-operation esizwa u-Home Affairs ukubachazela isimo sabantu abangekho emthethweni nabantu abasemthethweni ngoba bafani labo bantu. Abantu abasemthethweni abanelungelo lokuba khona la bafanele ukubuswa imithetho esibusa sonke. Kodwa abangekho emthethweni kuzofanele amaphoyisa abaphathe kanjalo nokusizana neHome Affairs. So sengizodlulisa ke ngidlulisele uDokotela uMtsoaledi ukuthi yena neHome Affairs bafaka lihle ihlombe kulolu daba. Dokotela.
Very hard to understand. That's writing. Oh, yes.
Yeah, Minister Cele, who will let you change what it is here. Akaswala will repeat. Referee 4.5 hours. Referee by the Pelvali Nagamol. By the CPF, Baruti, by the Craig, the Bishop, I've had the level of anger. We've been for these 4 hours. Kamuka. We have heard horror stories. Horror stories. Je batho ba di boletseng ka mo tja go lisha. Tja bo mme ba ba reipilweng pele ga bana ba bona. I heard even old ladies who have got no reason to lie. Ba re botsa di story tja moputong. Re kwile. Jwanong rena mo Home Affairs. Re tishitse di immigration officers tje 25. Ba re tlo ba tlogela mo for 3 full months. Ba bereka mmereko wa immigration wa ka mogomula wa Afrika Borwa o re dumelang ka ona wa ka taba immigration gore mang o swantse ba mo ke mang a singa swalla go ba gona. That's what you are going to do. From there e kwane gore after 3 months ka gore re tla be re dirile moshomo mo re tla tlisha batho ba Home Affairs ba ba 3 full time mo police station. Eno motho ba se sengwe sa go tshwenya sa Home Affairs o ba botse ka speed. Serious khupelang gore don't take the law into your own hands. Khupela eo re bone go kwata ga lena re a go pishisha and we will know exactly what to do. Tse dingwe Minister Cele o le buditse tsona. Tse dingwe nka se di bolele mo mmereko la ro berekileng Kruger stop 3 weeks ago. Yes. Re dirile gore batho ba re tshipile ba re buditse gore go direga ntho e soso le le hono ka mo o ne ba ileng ba nyaka gore thiba ba se bolele ka mo ka gore holo e be itletse ge re tswa meeting ba re tshipile gore re kae go direga eng we are going to go ba re buditse gore ya kae go direga eng go sona le ge ba ile ba re botsa gore go direga eng Kruger stop ra. We went there. The internal Khupelang don't take the law into your own hands. Media, I'm really asking you to be responsible. Would you really let our Masemola? Really come up pano. Obile munna ote wa wemela. Aruwe mechi Zimbabwe community. I saw the level of anger I've never seen. Never to Amulata. Remochabi siege. Kamukenya Kamachong a police metro or Atama because Wakam Hokibon Gamatwak who told us to possess him. Now I'm reading a headline here from one of the newspapers. Home Affairs Minister Motsoaledi kicks him men. Home Affairs Minister Motsoaledi kicks him men out of government Diepsloot community meeting. Yeah, I'm asking for responsible reporting. Please, Sowetan, please. I didn't kick anybody out of that meeting. That man was going to be killed if I didn't act. There was going to be another corpse here, and we were going to make noise at government. But why the government did not act? In front of 2 ministers, you want somebody to be killed, and I can't go out to protect him. I didn't kick him out. They were kicking him out. That meeting ran into chaos. Yes. Because they don't want to hear. That's the level of anger that is here. And so we must act responsibly in that level of anger. And the people of Diepsloot told us in this meeting, their level of anger, that many of their people from here were killed. And nothing was said. But yes, they said so in the meeting. I'm just reporting back to you. So I did not chase anybody in a meeting. He was going to be killed. And I think I protected him. And I'm very proud of that. So go and change your headlines and tell the people the truth. You are here to report the truth. Yes. Not to lie to the nation. Yes. Okay, in conclusion, every person who has been house to house, that's going to happen. The only thing we're asking you, don't take the law in your own hands, because you'll be arrested. And you will lose your moral high ground, like Motsoaledi. It's all over the papers, all over the world. So you must not do that. And we are here to work with you to make sure that things come right. Operation Operation Restore, meaning we must restore life back to normal here in Diepsloot. And we won't leave this place until we do so. Premier Makhura, what am I next week in the MEC about human settlement? By Tamo, to another Fabachu, in Coalition. Thank you very much.
We want to repeat the point he said. We are going to no, don't do that. Like all of us, we are not all criminals, we are not all bad people. The media, those people that are doing the right work. So there is one point that I forgot, but Masemola Sondel, they raised the issue ukuthi kunamaphoyisa ethu la angayiphathi kahle alalisa phansi ngezizwe. Siyawakhuza amaphoyisa kodwa asiwatshela futhi ukuthi angayeki mayekusola ukuthi akwazi ukubuza bese kuba sezandleni zakho ukuverifya ukuthi unawo inama documents. Amaphoyisa azokunika ithuba zakuswara athi veza mawungawaveza ke ama-document inkinga ke leyo. Kodwa kufanele ube nawo ama-document mawuse So I want to repeat the last point issue Minister Motsoaledi. Don't take law in your hands, because umsebenzi wamaphoyisa is to enforce the law. Noma ngabe yenziwe foreign, noma ngabe wenziwe South Africans. Ours is to make sure that there is a law. We are not going to move out of Diepsloot until we come back to you and you are told by yourself what things sharp seniyahamba. Uma ningakasho kanjalo, we are going nowhere. So we spend more time here. You go home, be safe. We're taking care of you. We're all over the street. Zohlangana nathi la imoto ngatshela amaphoyisa angatsholi ngemoto zethu. Athola nani? Athola nani? That's a problem. Intshontsho ngitshelile ukuthi enzani ngentshontsho. Nisinika amaphoyisa ethatha intshontsho bese sisinika nabanika amantshontsho. Kuna sibathole bobabili bayonikana ejele bobabili amantshontsho lapho. Otherwise, thank you very much. We'll keep coming back here. When you make a call, bathe khona abazisokwenzayo sabetshelile ukuthi sibizwe umphakathi la. You invited us, we'll try to respond, and we want to make sure that all things you raise, we'll respond to them. But also, we are meeting in leadership to work on the medium and long term. That's why the Premier is going to be here on Tuesday. But you said you want to minister our small business, you want to minister our labor, for social development. maybe as you come back to Motsoaledi this time, 5 of us as ministers will come. Until this place is fixed, we'll stay around this door. Thank you very much.
All right, the Minister of Police wrapping up what has been a day of engagement with community members here. And Minister, if we could just Minister, could we just get a word, please? We are live.
No, let's go for the press conference.
All right, we'll go to the press conference now.
Sorry.
I understand there's a media briefing that's going to take place at this stage. That is where I guess the Minister will be able to elaborate further on what came out of this meeting. But essentially, the Home Affairs Minister, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, indicating that 25 immigration officials will be deployed here to Diepsloot over the next 3 months. The Minister also indicating that at this particular stage, all the police that have been deployed here will not leave this area until the situation has been normalized here in Diepsloot. We also understand, all right, we're going to set up here in just a moment. We'll continue just before the Minister arrives. But key out of that is that the 16 police vehicles that have been deployed here will continue to be deployed here, 120 boots on the ground. Those will remain, according to the Minister. And those 25 immigration officials that will be here for the next 3 months. We're going to get a briefing now from the Police Minister, Bheki Cele, to elaborate further on what came out of this meeting. Let's take you live there now.
Okay, colleagues, let's just await a couple of minutes so that everyone is there. And then we'll take it straight to Q&A, colleagues. Show of hands.
Minister Puledi Chiti from ENCA, maybe just a quick question. You spoke about the operation that will be enforced here in the community of Diepsloot. Can you get time frames around that as well? Then maybe just a second question again, in terms of the conduct of the police officials. There's been criticism around that in terms of how they've forced some of the locals and asked them to describe a body part in a native South African language. That's something you condone as a police and government official as well.
Minister Chriselda Lewis from SABC Television News. Just are you confident that the discussions that you've had here this afternoon will quell the violence here in Diepsloot? Are you confident after your engagement here today?
Well, Minister of Home Affairs and DG are here in terms of what we should be following when those people are arrested. But how long this is here, we'll be making assessment. The first assessment, it will be after 3 months. But all the time will come with the structures here, and we agree that yes, the situation has stabilized. For now, Chriset, we are very confident. As you can see, you can come. I see most of you in the morning. I'm not here in the morning, I'm here in the midnight. So you can come here. And then you, as you have seen this morning, most of you said situation has normalized. Ours, including this meeting of today, is the sustainability of the stability that you see here. And we are very sure, until everybody agrees, until the members of the community and their structures agree that the situation is stabilized, we are going to stay here.
Conduct of police officials, that question wasn't answered, Lorenzo?
Yes, I understand. Okay. I understand. Just give me a chance. Minister, there is a question from ENCA.
The manner in which some of the operations were carried out, there's criticism around how they would stop some of the locals and say they should describe a body part in native South African language as well.
Well, I don't know why they say they describe the say into Lulu. I don't know. But they have a right, Amapois, to stop you, and then the onus is on you. They take you to police station and give you the opportunity for somebody to give your documents and for somebody to bring them at the station or yourself to produce those documents. They have a right. I don't know why they would go beyond and want a body part to be defined and all, but they have a right to collect you, and then the onus is on you to prove that indeed you are documented.
Linda Minister from Newsroom Africa. Minister, you mentioned that police have a right to stop civilians and ask them for documents. Are they trained to be able to pick up whether documents are legal or not? and what sort of criteria do they use there? Number two, let's talk about the murder of Elvis Nyati, right at the center of the protest that started on Wednesday. There seems to be no movement there. When are you going to make arrests, and when are you going to make arrests of the murders that you spoke about on Wednesday?
Maybe Motsoaledi puts this very well. I'm worried about this emphasis of the last victim, of the last person that was murdered. I'm very worried, and media keeps pushing that angle. 5 people were killed here before Elvis, who makes almost 6 people that died, and the same human being, the same body. So I'm really worried. We have brought 12 detectives that are stationed here, not starting only with those 6 and Elvis, but the last quarter of last year, which is October, November, December, 11 people were killed here. Only 3 people have been picked up and arrested. We are simply saying to the police that is unacceptable. Hence, we are putting top group of detectives. And please, when you ask us next time, ask about the matter at Diepsloot. I appreciate that your emphasis there, but as the police, we are dealing with all the matters and the cases that are there, including the mob, the mob killing, the vigilantism, and those that were killed before that we haven't found. But to come back to that question, we haven't picked anybody for those people that were killed, including Elvis, but we are beginning to make the inroads in terms of understanding what happened. And in not a very distant future, we will be able to crack the case. But please, let's talk about people that died in this
The question about Minister, police being trained, are they trained to be able to tell whether someone is legal in the country or not, and whether their documents are legitimate? We saw them opening up documents and saying, well, this one is expired. What sort of criteria are they using?
We've got 182,000 police in the Republic of South Africa. Among them, there are advocates, there are doctors, there are PhDs, there are scientists that are running the laboratories, and there will be units here. There are several units that are here. The one that you would know when a TRT, that is, they call the Mama Barrett. But we have detectives here. We have those that you will never see here. We have tracking teams here, those that are tracking those people that have been identified by the other structures to get on them. We have the police that are trained even on what you're saying, because not all the time where we have roadblocks with the Home Affairs officials. But this time, fortunately, we have been given those officials. So we will be working together with them. But that does not mean that there are no police that are enlightened in that situation when they need to do that. They are. But to make life easy for all of us and make everything more efficient, hence Home Affairs is here.
All right, Minister, I believe there's a question for Dr. Motsoaledi.
Yes, Chriselda Lewis, Minister from SABC Television News. Dr. Motsoaledi, do you take any responsibility for what has taken place? I think anyone would appreciate, especially the Diepsloot residents, the 25 immigration officials that will be deployed here to Diepsloot for 3 months. What about the other areas? The same problems that are being complained about here in Diepsloot is the same issues that are being raised in places like Alexandra. The issue of porous borders is something that has been raised for the longest time in South Africa, and nothing has happened to fix that, that has given a lasting solution at least to the problems that the country is facing. This could otherwise creep up elsewhere. Are you going to deploy another 25 immigration officials whenever there's a problem?
Thank you for the lecture, Chriselda. It's not true that we did nothing about the borders, and I reported here. We have just put up a border management authority, and I outlined how the border management authority is going to work. The truth is that there are no results yet because it's a new structure. I also conceded to the fact that this issue of borders was described and picked up by NICOC 10 years ago, the National Intelligence Coordinating Committee. Yeah, when they were doing defense estimates, they realized that there's a problem of the borders and recommended that we form a structure, the Border Management Authority. Unfortunately, and I'm conceding to that, it took 10 years for Parliament to pass that law because there's no general agreement among members. There was no general agreement among members of Parliament. You are aware that some say no border at all. Some say we are one country, the whole continent is one country. Others say close the borders, even oxygen must not come in. So there were those differences. But eventually the border management authority is there. And the first group of border guards who are uniformed with your own emblem are being interviewed. When we launch it officially, we'll invite you to see that something is being done. That's number one. Number two, I spent 4.5 hours here with Minister Cele, listening to people one by one. The stories here which they are not telling you are horror stories. Because they were safer in a meeting where there was no media. They were able to talk openly. These people here are not angry about foreign nationals. They are angry about the thuggery that is going here. And they say it's been done by Zimbabweans. And the words that are being told, that your government is stupid, you are stupid people, your government is stupid, you will never do what we are doing here, we are never allowed to do it in Zimbabwe. I don't know the truth of that, but that's what I heard. So when that gentleman stood up and said he represented Zimbabwe, they were going to tear him apart. I've never seen that level of anger before. And they made it very clear that the issue here is not because people are documented, it's the crime. They said Diepsloot was not always like this. And they talk about how they hide children under the beds in their own houses, how they are scared, how they are being targeted as communities. And the people who are saying this, some of them are bishops of churches. Some of them are old women who are crying, about what they are going through. And that is the issue we are going to resolve. And I told them that I don't want here. I was a doctor before, well, I still am, but I'm no longer practicing. I know that if you put a wrong diagnosis to a disease, you're going to treat the wrong disease. And I asked them, if everybody here is documented, will you be happy? They said no. That's not the issue. The issues, the experiences we are going through in our houses, this criminality that is happening here. And I asked them, are you complaining of people from other countries? They said no. We have got no problem for race national, but this is what happened with Zimbabweans. Now, as I'm saying, whether it's true or not, and now they tipped us where to go to look for this type of things that we're talking about here. Now I'm hearing, Chriselda, from what you say. You want to say Minister Motsoaledi must take the responsibility for the death of Elvis.
No, I did not say that, Minister. I said
you're heading in that direction.
No, I did not say that.
Okay, fine.
I simply
my apologies to
someone has died.
No, but if not someone has died, some people have died. Yes. Why do you say someone?
Yes.
People have died here,
yes.
And that's why these people are crying, because some of them are relatives, and they told us. And I repeat the question because I asked them, if everybody here is documented, will you be happy? They said no. The situation goes beyond that. It's an issue. It's not an issue of documentation. It's criminality. And they stood one by one to tell us what they were told in their houses when these crimes were taking place. It's not easy for any woman to be raped in front of their own husband with a gun on and children. But these are the stories they told us. And they said they believe, they know that is Zimbabwean nationals who are doing that. So these are the issues we must face head on. We can't put our head below the sand for fear that will be labeled. Like what I see Sowetan trying to do, already saying I chase somebody here because it's from Zimbabwe. No, he was chased by the people, and if I didn't go out, you'll be telling us about 2 people who died, because those are the only ones who you recognize when they die. That's what you're going to ask us, and say in front of 2 ministers and a commissioner of police and all that. I was trying to prevent that, and I did so, and I'm very proud that I've done so. That man will not be alive if I didn't go out to make sure that he's put in the hands of police, and I advised him to leave the meeting, because there was no way he was going to go back there. We're not going to hold those people back. The level of anger is amazing. You could touch it,
Minister, maybe just a recap before I give to my colleagues from ENT again, and Mr. Bheki Cele, have we seen an increase in terms of the criminal activities that have been conducted by undocumented foreign nationals? And maybe just for clarity, with the 5 people that have been murdered, how far are the investigations, and are arrests imminent from what is going on there as well?
Let me put it this way. 11 people I said there were 4 people that were picked up, 4 people that died between October and December. Unfortunately, people that died here are South African and all picked out are foreigners. I want to end there. I'm not going to mention nationalities, but they are all foreigners. Those have been picked up for murder. So we are asking the question, have you seen the increase? If that is not the increase, I don't know what is it. When 11 people died and you pick up all South Africans and you pick up 4 all foreigners people. So let's end there on that. So this anger that Motsoaledi is talking about is really founded on some of these areas as you deal with these matters. But we want to emphasize this point. We are not going to be chasing foreign criminals or South African criminals. We'll be chasing criminals. We detect much later where to come from, but we are chasing criminals, and it's exactly what we've told the community here, that they shouldn't think that South Africans that are causing criminals are going to be treated with soft hands. No, we're going to be hard to all criminals. But when each time you find a person that has caused murder and you find that is not South African, it does cause this kind of anger. And as he says, at a certain given point, we'll have to listen and respond accordingly. And we must make sure that South Africans themselves, they see that we are responding so that they don't take law in their hands, of which we have told them not to. And if they do themselves, they become criminals and they will be picked up. So that's a situation that we want to put.
Minister, the last two questions, Linda, and then we'll take you from Motsoaledi. Go ahead.
Minister Motsoaledi, my question is around the fact that these operations also include, getting undocumented migrants out of Diepsloot. Now, we know the issues at Home Affairs with the reception officers and asylum seekers. South Africa also has stateless people. So how are you going to make sure that you protect particularly those stateless people that can't produce any documents, given the challenges that Home Affairs has previously faced?
And while we have can we just take the SABC? Pardon me, Minister.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask the same question.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So.
Dr. Motsoaledi, I just received a statement now from ZANU PF for South Africa, and just to read it to you, unfortunately I was not privy to reading it before we started this. They basically say that they're condemning a witch hunt on foreign nationals. That's what they believe. Because we did see a bit this morning, police were out of police as well, Minister, where they were checking the documentation. Of course, that's part of doing their job. But certainly some seem to think that it is a witch hunt. So they say the party, they unequivocally condemn the brutal killing and the witch hunt that is taking. Some are calling this a witch hunt.
I'll answer you. We also condemn the killing. We condemn the killing in the strongest ways, and the killings of all the people who died here, not one person. And the minister said so, and we really stand by that. The life of a human being is very important, and nobody has got the right to kill. Even the state in South Africa has got no right to kill, and I'm sure you know that very well. ZANU PF, we have agreed that we are going to meet them. We have never done any witch hunting of anybody. Minister Cele said they have arrested 4 people and they have all foreign nationals. They were not witch hunted. They were looking for somebody who murdered, and he never mentioned the nationality. Yes, so I am not sure what that statement is referring to, but there's no witch hunt of anybody. Now, Linda, yeah, so, yeah. Please, the people you say are stateless, bring them here. Yes, bring them here and let's see who is stateless. Because we agreed with United Nations when we met with the Deputy High Commissioner for Protection, Ms. Trillian Weeks, on the 24th of February, of January, I mean to say, and we discussed this issue. If a person is stateless, we are obliged to give them statehood because United Nations doesn't allow statelessness. Please bring the people who are stateless. I've had many times this issue of stateless. For instance, there are people who marched to Home Affairs, I think in December, and demanding that we give every child who is born here by a foreign national birth certificates because we are rendering them stateless. That's not true. The United Nations, we gave them the story, and together we released a press statement where they were saying South Africa is not obliged to give anybody a birth certificate simply because they were born here. Doesn't happen like that, because the law we are following is called jus sanguinis, which is followed by many countries all over the world. The right of birth by your parents, not by the geography of where you are born, is called jus sanguinis. The one you are mentioning by geography, which is called jus soli, is practiced in the US, and there's a reason that they are doing that. In the East, in Asia, it's only practiced in Pakistan. On the African continent, it's only practiced in Lesotho, Chad, and Tanzania. The others are doing what you are doing, jus soli. Who gave birth to you? Not geographical where you were born. And it went on to say South Africa is not obliged to do that unless they can be a proof that somebody is stateless. I've even heard the people who were on the Zimbabwe exemption permit say we are going to render them stateless. How do we render somebody stateless because they were here for 10 years and they go to Zimbabwe every December and they had files, and before they were given the exemption permits, they had to produce police clearance from Zimbabwe. That's why we have got records, that's why we know the number, and that's why we wrote them letters, all of them one by one. So please, Linda, anybody who's stateless, bring them here. Let's see them.
All right.
Please.
Just one, Chriselda.
Yes,
this statement is very insensitive.
I'd love to show it to you, Minister.
No, I'm not saying it's not there. I'm saying it's a very insensitive statement. We're trying to put off fires here, and some people, they should have approached us. In South Africa, we've got 11,000 foreign nationals in our prisons. 11,000 in our prisons. And I can go to you according to their nationals there. Maybe this statement comes from the country that is leading on those figures. So it's an insensitive statement, and as we stand here, I'm not going to take this statement. Maybe the time has come that we speak to DECO to invite those people to tell them what is happening. Some of the officials who claim to coming from the offices of Zimbabwe were rejected by the very same people that they came to. You were there. They say we don't know them. They chase us. They come to talk to us. So they shouldn't come and sugarcoat their politics using this situation, which is a very terrible. We're trying to put off fires here in a very serious way.
So do you condemn it, Minister?
Very condemn it totally.
And to add, yes. That's exactly what I've heard the people saying here. Yes, that this is what Zimbabweans are telling us. They were complaining that they are telling them that you are fools, your government are fools. You will never do this in our country. Now here we hear it from leaders. If it's true, it's from them. This is, I agree with the minister, is grossly insane. It's just going to make the fires worse, because these people here are angry, and we are trying to make them to feel human and all that. When they see statements like this, the anger will even be worse. Because, look, you are talking the death of Elvis, and I heard all the media interviewing the wife and the children and all that. But they were asking us here, what about their relatives who have died? And we don't want this.
SABC News was there today.
No, they were telling us.
South Africans.
No, I'm telling you about what I was told here. You were not there, Chriselda. I'm just telling you what they told us, and I've got you were not allowed, and I've got no reason to say they are lying, because I was listening to them. I was just telling you. Now, when statements like this come, it's very difficult to cool them down. They'll say, you see now. Even leaders are saying this, because why didn't they talk to us and they start tweeting? They are actually poking people in the eyes with their fingers, like what we've been told here, or they are being told that every day in their houses. And people are pointing these fingers at the minister. Are you proud that I have to hide my children under the bed? Are you proud that I have to hide my children in a locker? Are you proud that in my own house I'm scared? One lady was telling us here that they are hunting her, and she wants protection because they say she speaks too much. She speaks too much. They were saying, where is that baby woman who talks all the time? We'll show her what we are made of. Those are very irresponsible statements. And we don't want leaders to come with irresponsible statements also.
Loud and clear, Minister, there's a last question from leader.
Last question to...
Okay, I just have a question here, please. I heard you speaking about, it's Motsoaledi from Eyewitness News. I heard you speaking, Minister, about going into the houses in Diepsloot as well. I wanted to know, what are you planning on doing as police to prevent infringement on human rights? We don't want a Rogasambe type of situation. So what is the plan? What have they been deployed to do as they enter the households there?
And the last question there.
It's along the same lines, two ministers. Those who are knocking on people's doors, asking people to produce IDs and stuff like that, obviously that can be acceptable, yeah?
Well, it's illegal for anybody to do that. The president has actually said that. The president of this country, many times, is illegal. And even the people here, we told them it's illegal. Because there are people who are authorized by law to do that. If immigration officials do that, that's not illegal. They are in uniform, that is their job. If the police do that, it's not illegal. It's nothing about human rights. It's the work of police to go on, especially where they were tipped off. These people were giving us tips off. Go to this house, go there. We are going to go. That's not illegal. It's not about human rights. It's combating crime and illegality, which must not be happening. But if it's done by members of the public, yes, it's illegal, and we've condemned it many times. And even here, we've told them they must never do it, because then it will be vigilante. It will be the law of the jungle. But when it's done by law enforcement agencies, it has got nothing to do with human rights. It's what must happen, and it's going to happen.
Loud and clear, Minister.
Okay. No.
Right,
That's perfect.
Thank you,
perfect. We'll be there. We'll be there.
Thank you very much, Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, as well as Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, the Home Affairs Minister, briefing us after this discussion. Quite lengthy, but key points out of that: 25 immigration officials that will be deployed to Diepsloot over the next 3 months, 120 boots on the ground here for the next 3 months, as well as 16 vehicles in Diepsloot. You would know, of course, that one of the major concerns was the incapacity of the Diepsloot police station to handle some of the criminal matters here, lamenting that while there may have been a lot of focus on the death of Elvis Nyati, of course it was the Zimbabwean national, there were other deaths that had taken place here in Diepsloot as well, and that is what seemed to have fueled the violence to begin with, in that you had a situation where the locals here were basically placing all of that at the doorstep of foreign nationals, basically saying that they're escalating the violence in this area. The minister basically saying that he is going to ensure that whether you're Zimbabwean or whether you're South African, if you are involved in criminal behavior, you will be arrested, and basically urging both the Minister of Home Affairs as well as the Minister of Police, calling on the community here not to carry matters into their own hands, despite if they are complaining about corrupt police officials, then they're asking the community to come forward and basically make sure that those or police officers that are responsible for taking bribes, for example, their names should be produced, of course, to the police, and they'll basically be dealt with. A concern here is that there was a statement that also seems to have been released. I'd received that while I had been here in Diepsloot just a couple of moments ago, and it certainly seems like this statement is basically indicating that I'll just read a portion of it. There's a condemnation here on the killing of Elvis Nyati, but basically the statement indicates that while ZANU-PF South Africa, it says, respects the South African Security Service and other government functionaries, it's worrisome that a group of people can take the law into their own hands, and how vigilante groups in the country that have a whole functional police service and Home Affairs Department carry out unsanctioned activities unchecked, resulting in the loss of property and lives as well. Saying that it doesn't condone any criminality by any Zimbabwean nationals. However, it condemns the unsanctioned and unwarranted witch hunting of foreign nationals in South Africa and labeling them as criminals. So that was the response from the Minister Bheki Cele when he said he found that statement to be very insensitive, that while they are trying to put out fires, this particular statement seems to suggest that there needs to be a talk that will be held. In fact, that confirmed by the Home Affairs Minister, Dr. Motsoaledi, in saying that they are going to have a conversation with the ZANU-PF, basically talking about Bheki Cele, there, the Minister of Police, talking about 11,000 foreign nationals in South Africa's prisons. So it certainly seems to suggest at this particular point that some of the concerns that have been raised by South Africans about the involvement of foreign nationals in crimes seems to be a sentiment that the South African Police Service is watching. Remember that that has been at the bone of contention of what has taken place here in Diepsloot, where residents have been saying there's a group of foreign nationals who are going out and carrying out these murders. In fact, David Makhura, I think I'm going to bring in one of the community, sir, do you mind if you were live on SABC News? Thank you very much for joining us. Community leader, involved in discussions here. Are you happy with the engagements that you had with government today, and do you think that will be enough to quell the violence?
Yeah, no, I am happy. I think even the community is happy. Because you must, if I can take you back, you must understand that one of the issues was that the police station does not have enough staff, it doesn't have enough resources, and the minister came and he made promises, and he came, he delivered. They wanted vans to be added. He came about with 16 vans. We saw them as councillors, myself and other councillors were there, we saw the vans, and also there was an issue of personnel. There was not enough police, and the minister came. He just told us that there's over 120 police deployed here. So I think because the initial issue was the issue of capacity, so we should be ready to roll. And also the police, they need our support as the community. Working with the community structures, CPF and other structures, we are very much confident that what the minister has done, together with the Minister of Home Affairs, is going to yield positive results in our communities.
For 3 months, immigration officials, the 120 boots on the ground, the 16 vehicles, you think 3 months will be enough? Or is it just to assess the situation and get back to a sense of normality?
Yeah, everything is subject to being monitored. 3 months, we believe that it might make a significant difference, because remember there was no immigration people before that. So now 25 are going to be here for the next 3 months, and then thereafter, depending on the results, there might be more being deployed, or they will keep the data that they've promised. So we're hoping that when that is happening, with us as the community leaders, working with the police, giving the minister feedback, then the results will be measured this week.
In terms of criminality in this particular area, indeed we've been getting mixed figures from the Premier to the National Police Commissioner as well as the Police Minister about exactly how many people have died here. The Premier is back here, I understand, on Tuesday to deal with issues of exactly what the minister was talking about. One of the foreign nationals who was arrested after locking up his shop and was told to go to the police vehicle, handed over keys to a South African woman who is the landlord, right? So you have a situation where there are South Africans in these particular townships that seem to be aiding what is taking place. The minister describes it and says that you just invite anyone into your home. You don't know their names, you don't have their address or anything, but how are you going to deal with those issues in your community? Because these are some South Africans who are renting out their backyards to illegal foreign nationals in the country, and they're aiding a part of the problem. You're a community leader, how do you address that?
Look, the good thing is that in Diepsloot there's leadership structures here. So just before we called the minister, there were meeting engagements, various structures talking about these issues. And I believe that with these issues that are internal, it is the very same community of people who are going to resolve it. That's why when external influence comes in the community, we tell them, no, wait, we will resolve our own issues. And I believe that even the same that are raising, it will be resolved by the very same structures in the community. and I believe it will achieve solution.
Thank you very much indeed for your time participating in the community leader. And one of the community leaders at the centre of what has been taking place here in Diepsloot, part of the leadership, that have been galvanising the community to try and find lasting solutions to their challenges here. So it certainly seems that there may be some consensus to what the way forward is. The immigration officers that will be brought here, 25 for the next 3 months, the 120 boots on the ground for the next 3 months, the 16 vehicles that will be brought to the Diepsloot police station, or in fact are here at the Diepsloot police station for the next 3 months. An assessment of that will go ahead now. And I think a lot of the discontent that had been there at the time earlier on when we've been doing live crossings here, showing that some of the residents had been outside of the gate. Once the Minister of Police had gone outside to engage with them, they certainly seem to have been in agreement with what he was saying, and it looks like to a certain degree that will manage to quell the tensions here in Diepsloot. And certainly a few pockets of concerns here and there, and it seems like on the part of the Department of Home Affairs there are a number of discussions that need to be had relating to the Minister also conceding it has taken very long to deal with the issue of porous borders, him conceding that he had previously conceded that it was indeed a problem, but Parliament had taken its time to deal with the process. So at this particular stage, it certainly seems like the tensions will sort of be quelled at this time, but I'll remain in Diepsloot for a couple of more hours to assess the situation here. But it certainly looks like it's a community that is happy with the feedback thus far. We'll continue to monitor the situation here as well. And also, in conversation there with the Minister, Dr. Motsoaledi, in fact, SABC News did speak to one of the South African families that lost their loved ones here, them lamenting as well, the media, for only focusing on Elvis Nyati. The SABC also managed, my colleague Mbali Mtetwa, it was extremely difficult to try and get anyone to speak here in Diepsloot. We managed to track down one of the family members of the South Africans who was also died. The Minister did mention a number of people had died since October last year until now. This would be South Africans, more in comparison to Elvis Nyati, but not trying to compare in terms of nationalities. But the fact of the matter remains that the issue of crime here in Diepsloot is something that needs to be addressed, and certainly while it seems that the community is a bit happy at this stage, maybe I can squeeze in one more. Anyone would like to speak to us, sir? From the community of Diepsloot, Putwam, let me come to you. Are you happy with the engagement so far, just before we wrap up?
So far,
Are you happy to have at least more police in your area? I know the issue of crime has been a big one for Diepsloot. We've been here before. You've been complaining about the same things.
I'm more than happy. I don't think I can say I'm not happy. I'm more than happy until maybe we need it to be a permanent solution. They can't just come for 3 months and go. They must stay here until.
The police must stay here. The Minister also, thank you very much indeed, sir, for your time. Let me just take you to the streets of Diepsloot before I wrap this up in just a moment. Let me just show you in comparison to what we saw a little bit earlier on. The buses are moving about freely here. Everybody is heading home. It's a Friday afternoon. The situation is very calm here in Diepsloot. I'm going to try and bring you, but however, let's just take a look there. How police will continue to remain in this particular area over the next couple of days, over the next couple of hours. A police nyala towards that particular direction. And you see the police nyala. I'll ask my colleague to come this way. And the police nyala right there. These are some of the police officers that have been deployed here to Diepsloot. They are said to remain here over the next 3 months at this time. And we do believe that a number of these searches will be taking place to ensure that those who are in the country are here legally. And we're expecting quite a lot of this, especially over this particular weekend. But there generally seems to be a consensus that perhaps the interventions that have been made thus far are going to be perhaps a band-aid to stop that sore, if I may, from leaking at this particular point. We'll continue to monitor the situation here.
Well, thank you very much, Chriselda Lewis, there, senior reporter for the SABC, giving us a very comprehensive update on what is happening on the ground in Diepsloot. Chriselda, thank you so much for that. Of course, you are now watching SA Today with me, Unathi Bhatyasha. Thank you so much for joining us. And as you've been watching that coverage from Diepsloot, pertinent update there from the two ministers who were in the area, as well as the Premier of Gauteng, David Makhura, who spoke to community members under closed doors. The media was not allowed to be in that room. Spoke to community members and then briefed the community and the media afterwards, making some firm promises or undertakings in terms of what will happen in that particular area. It's of course, we are going to be seeing if the deployment of 25 immigration officials in Diepsloot for the next 3 months is going to be effective for what the people of Diepsloot need. We also understand 120 police officers and some 16 cars will be deployed there, including detectives.